A very good evening to one and all present here. आप सभी को बहुत बहुत स्वागत आज के सेशन में जो कि इंटरपर्सनल एंड कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स के ऊपर है. Today on our skill up session on the 14th of December, Gurushala is presenting interpersonal and communication skills. We are here today we are all gathered here today to talk about how we can improve on our skills and inspire the students for work readiness. So we'll be discussing about why these skills are important, what means for us when we learn these skills, and how we can inspire our students for tomorrow's generation's employability. So let's get started. So to begin with, let me first introduce to you our platform, Gurushala. It is an initiative of Indus Towers Limited and Vodafone India, and it is implemented by Pratham Education Foundation. So, a few things to note. कुछ चीजें हम नोट कर लेंगे before the session starts. जैसे कि first thing, make notes of ideas and questions during the session. जैसे कि हम अभी बात करने वाले हैं, हम काफी आइडियाज डिस्कस करेंगे, हम एक दूसरे से बातचीत करेंगे, ओपिनियंस शेयर करेंगे, उसका एक नोट बना लेंगे हम, ताकि हमें फ्यूचर के लिए ये काम आए. सेकेंड, टाइप आउट योर क्वेश्चंस, आंसर्स एंड आइडियाज इन द कमेंट सेक्शन इन इंग्लिश और हिंदी. आपको जिस भी भाषा में कंफर्टेबल लगता है उसमें आप अपने क्वेश्चंस, आइडियाज और जो भी आपके ओपिनियंस है उसको आप कमेंट सेक्शन में डाल दीजिएगा. थर्ड, sign up on Gurushala for regular updates on trainings, workshops and competitions, ताकि इससे हम कनेक्टेड रह सके और आपको पता चले कि क्या चल रहा है प्लेटफॉर्म में और कैसे आप उसमें पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं. नाउ बिफोर वी स्टार्ट, एक छोटी सी एक्टिविटी करेंगे. सो दिस इज अ रिडल. हम सब जानते हैं कि रिडल्स कैसे, पहेलियां कैसी होती हैं. तो हम एक रिडल करेंगे, जिसे भी आंसर आए, सारे टीचर्स यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड to put down the answers in the chat box. So the first riddle on the screen, as you can see, is the more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? The more that you take, आप जितना भी ले, आप उतना ही पीछे छोड़ देंगे. तो क्या हो सकता है ये? Any guesses? The more that you take, the more you leave behind. All the teachers can drop down their guesses and their answers in the chat box. ओके, सो इसका आंसर है फुटस्टेप्स. तो द मोर फुटस्टेप्स दैट यू टेक, द मोर यू लीव बिहाइंड. आप जितना आगे चलेंगे, आपके उतने ही फुटस्टेप्स पीछे रह जाएंगे. सो द मोर यू टेक योर फुटस्टेप्स, द मोर यू लीव बिहाइंड. इसी तरह का हम एक और रिडल करेंगे. आई कैन बी क्रैक्ड, मेड, टोल्ड और प्लेड. व्हाट एम आई? दूसरी पहेली है, आई कैन बी क्रैक्ड, मेड, told and played. What am I? Teachers, you are requested to drop down your guesses in the chat box. I can be cracked, made, told and played. Any guesses from anybody? Okay, so the answer to this riddle is a joke. A joke can be cracked, made, told and played. Great. So now heading on to our session. पहले हम देख लेते हैं कि आज के सेशन में हम क्या क्या कवर करेंगे. ठीक है, सो वी विल सी व्हाट ऑल वी विल कवर इन दिस सेशन. First is we will define what is interpersonal skills and communication. Second, we will be talking about what empathy is and what emotional intelligence is. Third, we will talk about how to resolve conflicts. What is conflict resolution? Where does it come from and how we can solve it? And the last thing is receiving feedback and initiating collaboration. So these are the few things that we'll be covering in the session. We will go one by one. हम एक एक करके इसे कवर करेंगे. जहां भी किसी को डाउट हो, जहां पे भी किसी को ओपिनियन शेयर करने हो, वो प्लीज चैट बॉक्स में उसे डाले. मैं उसे स्क्रीन पे शेयर करूंगी और हम सब उसे देख सकेंगे और उसे डिस्कस कर सकेंगे. ओके? Right. So the first thing is to define interpersonal skills and communication. So अगर किसी को आइडिया हो मन में कि क्या इंटरपर्सनल कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स होती हैं, तो उसे प्लीज चैट में डालें. इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स वो होती हैं वेयर यू कैन रेफर टू द एबिलिटी टू इफेक्टिवली इंटरैक्ट एंड कम्युनिकेट विद अदर्स. ये एक एबिलिटी होती है हमारी कि हम एक दूसरे से बात कर सके, कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं क्लियरली. इसे इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स कहते हैं. Second is communication skills, which is specifically focusing on the ability to convey information, thoughts, ideas to each other in a clear and effective manner. अभी हमें लग रहा होगा कि ये काफी सिमिलर है बट इसमें काफी डिफरेंसेस भी हैं. जैसे कि इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स में सिर्फ कम्युनिकेशन होता है, जिसमें सिर्फ बात करनी होती है. कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स ये होता है जिसमें हम सुने भी, किसी और के आइडियाज भी लें, किसी और के ओपिनियंस भी लें और उसे समझे, सोचे और फिर उसके ऊपर आंसर्स दे. उसे हम कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स कहते हैं. These skills are extremely important. Developing them is very crucial for fostering collaboration, resolving conflicts, and building successful relationships with individuals and groups. हमारी लाइफ में हम जिस भी एम्प्लॉयमेंट में हो, जिस भी फील्ड में हो, कम्युनिकेशन और इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स हर फील्ड में काम आती हैं, क्योंकि बातचीत करना, किसी और के आइडियाज को सोचना, समझना और सुनना, ये सारे फील्ड्स में नेसेसरी होती हैं. Which is why we must learn, as teachers gathered here today, we must understand these ideas so that we can take this back to our schools, to our students and teach it to them, because they are the future. कल उन्हीं को एम्प्लॉयमेंट में ज्वाइन करना है, दूसरे जॉब्स में ज्वाइन करना है और उन्हीं को ये सारे स्किल्स काम आने वाली हैं. So that is why it's important for us to here understand these skills, understand the importance of these skills and take it back to our students. Now, let's talk about the elements of interpersonal and communication skills. अभी हमने broadly discuss किया कि इसमें differences क्या होती हैं. अब इन दोनों के नीचे common elements क्या है, common concepts क्या है, उसे एक बार हम देख लेंगे. First is conflict resolution. जैसे कि conflict का मतलब ये नहीं होता है हमेशा कि झगड़ा हो. It's not always a fight, it's not always an argument. It can also be a difference of opinion. It can be a difference of idea. It can be two ideas coming together and not understanding which to go for. So any of this could mean a conflict resolution. और ये एक चीज होती है जो स्कूल्स में भी हो सकती हैं, आपके ऑफिसेस में भी हो सकती हैं, घरों में भी हो सकती हैं, कहीं भी. Any administration, any kind of employment that you talk about, there will always be conflict resolution, because as humans we are different people. We are all brought up in a different way and we have been taught a different, lifestyle. So we might have different ideas to a certain, issue or a certain opinion or a certain way of doing things. तो इसे कैसे resolve करें? इसे for that you need to have a certain level of maturity and you have to have a certain level of good communication skill. कैसे हमें उसे कन्वे करें किसी और को कि इसे सॉल्व किया जा सकता है और इसे सॉल्व कर भी लेंगे हम, राइट? सो सेकंड इज फीडबैक स्किल्स. फीडबैक एक ऐसी चीज है जो हम एज टीचर्स, एज स्टूडेंट्स, एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स इन जनरल रोज हमें मिलता है या फिर हमारे जिंदगी में हमें काफी बार मिलता है, राइट? हमें फीडबैक हमेशा मिलता रहता है. इट्स अ कंटिन्यूअस साइकिल ऑफ लाइफ वेयर यू गेट टू हियर फ्रॉम पीपल हाउ यू आर डूइंग ऑन समथिंग. तो फीडबैक को सुनना और समझना और देना, इन तीनों चीजों के लिए हमें अच्छे कम्युनिकेशन स्किल की बहुत जरूरत है. बिकॉज इफ a feedback isn't given in the right manner, it can come off as insensitive and it can come off as hurtful. which we don't want. And so it is important to understand how we should convey such feedback to somebody, and how we can, as somebody getting the feedback, understand why it is being said to us. That is why it is one of the element of interpersonal communication skill. थर्ड इज अडेप्टेबिलिटी. अभी हर सिचुएशन में लाइफ में ऐसी जरूरत नहीं है कि हमें हर सिचुएशन बहुत कंफर्टेबल मिले या फिर जैसे हम चाहते थे वैसे ही हो, राइट? सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू अडेप्ट एंड इम्प्रोवाइज इन एवरी सिचुएशन ऑफ लाइफ, which is also an element of interpersonal communication skill. The fourth is emotional intelligence. ये काफी बड़ा टॉपिक है, इसे हम और ध्यान से देखेंगे. Emotional intelligence, in a nutshell, is to understand how the other person is feeling, putting them in your shoes, standing, in their shoes, and understanding how they are feeling, and thereby, altering a situation according to that. So next, we'll go into all of these elements one by one and understand them deeply. So first is empathy and emotional quotient, like we talked about. तो क्या होता है इमोशनल कोशेंट एंड क्या होता है एम्पैथी? These are two things that sound very similar, but they are not. There is quite a lot of difference in them, and it is important to understand that difference as well. So first, being the emotional quotient, it is a rank, it is an understanding of how well a person understands somebody's empathy. So EQ is the ability to understand, use and manage your own emotions in a positive way, to communicate effectively and overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. As human beings, we all have a different level of understanding, of our own emotions and of somebody else's. और ये बहुत जरूरी होता है कि हम अपने आप को बहुत अच्छे से समझें ताकि हम किसी और को उसी तरह समझ पाए. So it is very important for us to not only understand our emotions very well, but also it is very important for us to understand that so that we can understand somebody else in a positive way, to communicate effectively, to get your ideas across effectively, and to overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. Only when you understand somebody else's point of view can you communicate clearly and then thereby diffuse a conflict. That is the understanding of it. Now, coming to what empathy is. Empathy is the ability to emotionally understand what other people feel, see things from their point of view, and imagine yourself in their place. Right? Okay. So now coming to the biggest part, which we were talking about, how that if we have the emotional maturity and the emotional quotient and empathy, only then we can resolve this conflict that we were speaking of. Like I mentioned, conflict ये जरूरी नहीं है कि argument हो या लड़ाई हो या झगड़ा हो. It can be a difference of opinion. It can be a difference of ideas at a workplace or a school or a house. It can be any place. So there are three ways of resolving conflict. There are many ways, but let us look at these three ways, more elaborately. First is to discuss the impact of the conflict resolution skills on maintaining a healthy environment, right? Second is to provide examples on how effective communication can diffuse the conflict. Third is to identify and address the conflict in a constructive manner. अगर आप सपोज एक टीचर हैं और आपके क्लासरूम में एक there is a difference of opinion when you are teaching a topic, or there is a debate, or there is some sort of a difference in opinion, it is important for students to realize that there can be more than one types of point of view, right? There are different types of point of views which they should not only understand but also acknowledge, address, and in a civil manner understand it so that they can put their point of views across in the similar way. तो इसे हमें समझाने के लिए ये तीन चीजें समझाने की बहुत जरूरत है. एक तो conflict, to discuss the impact of the conflict on a person, right? To maintain a healthy environment. To understand that there is a conflict, first you acknowledge it, and then you try to address it in a constructive manner. That is what is being given here. Second is to give examples of how effective communication can diffuse it. तो एक दूसरे से बात करना और इसे सुलझाना, ये भी एक important step है. Now, coming to receiving feedback and initiating collaboration. Like we talked about receiving feedback as a very integral part of our life. As children, as adults, as old people, Feedback is something that is very continuous in our life. We always receive feedback from people, no matter what stage of life you are in, what type of employment you are in, it does not matter. Feedback is something that is very constant in our lives, and it is important to understand how to receive the feedback and how to give feedback. These are two very important things. Right. So, when we talk about receiving feedback, providing constructive feedback is extremely important. There are three types of feedback. There is positive, there is constructive, and there's negative, right? So, constructive feedback is the one where we give somebody feedback on how well they did a job, but how there are a few places in whatever they did that they can improve on, and how to give that positively so that they can pick it up and they can work on it. They can make themselves better, they can improve on it, and then come back in a better way. So doing this is very important, and timely feedback is also very important. You cannot give a feedback that is a week or two late, because then the time has passed and the context of it has fizzled out. So it's important to give specific and timely feedback, and also positive reinforcement कि आपने अच्छा काम किया है, you did a good job, well done. These are words that we use for positive reinforcement. अब आती है बारी रिसीविंग फीडबैक की, जिसे हम लेते हैं, हम सुनते हैं. तो हमें हमेशा ये याद रखना होता है कि जब कोई हमें फीडबैक दे रहा होता है, इट इज टू ऑलवेज गिव इट इन अ वे दैट दे इम्प्रूव ऑन समथिंग. तो एक्सेप्टिंग क्रिटिसिज्म ग्रेसफुली इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. हम उनकी बात सुने, समझें कि ऐसा क्यों एक फीडबैक हम तक आया है, और उसे हम अपने पर्सनल ग्रोथ के लिए यूज करें. दैट इज व्हाट्स इंपॉर्टेंट हियर इन रिसीविंग फीडबैक. Oftentimes it can come across to us as negative, that somebody has picked out our flaws in whatever we have done, but it is important to notice the bigger picture in this context, that when somebody is giving you a feedback, it is oftentimes to see you get better at something, improve at something, and thereby succeed in life. So accepting criticism is very important, and to do it gracefully is even more important. नाउ कमिंग टू इनिशिएटिंग कोलैबोरेशन. अभी हम बच्चों की बात कर रहे हैं जो कल जाके वर्कफोर्स को ज्वाइन करेंगे, जो एम्प्लॉय होंगे, दे विल हैव कॉलीग्स, दे विल हैव कोवर्कर्स, और कोलैबोरेट करना, टीम वर्क करना बहुत एक डे टू डे एक्टिविटी बन जाता है उन लोगों के लिए, राइट? सो वर्किंग इन टीम्स ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्स गुड कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स. Like we talk about how to resolve conflict and how to give feedback, we need good communication skills. The same way, to work in a team, you also require very good communication skills. You need to put forth your ideas in such a way that it is conveyed very clearly to everybody, right? That is what is required in a teamwork. And you also need good communication skills to understand who does what the best, identifying it and understanding that, and thereby you make yourselves better in that project. Also, this is where your empathy and emotional quotient comes into play, because in a team, as a team leader or as a part of the team, as a team member, you need to identify and leverage diverse strengths in your group. हर ग्रुप में इतने मेंबर्स होते हैं जो अलग अलग काम में बहुत अच्छे होते हैं. To bring them together, you need great communication skills, but to identify those skills, you need great emotional quotient, right? So that is why these elements are extremely important in interpersonal communication skills. तो जब हम receiving feedback की बात करते हैं, तो providing feedback and receiving feedback both are extremely important. To do it gracefully and to do it in a timely and specific manner is very important. And जब हम collaboration की बात करते हैं, it's very important that we communicate our ideas very properly and also leverage diverse strengths by using our empathy and emotional quotient. Now, let's talk about how do these skills and communication help with work readiness, right? So when we're talking about our students going back, going into the future, going into the workforce as employees, these are skills that can help them very much, because a human being who is in touch with their emotions, in touch with the emotional quotient, is in touch with how to talk to people and how to collaborate and how to work in a team, is are skills that are very looked for in an employee. सो लेट अस सी हाउ इट हेल्प्स. फर्स्ट इज एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी स्किल्स. जैसे हमने अभी बात की, कल अगर वो वर्कफोर्स को ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, तो एक a student who is able to communicate properly is the first person they will look into, because it's very important for you to know how to talk to people, how to get your ideas across, and how to make things clear and concise. Second is job interviews. When you communicate properly, you also build a certain sense of self confidence within yourself, right? So, that is what people want to see when you are interviewing for them. They need to know that you are a person who is very confident within themselves, which comes with clear communication. You need to voice out, be vocal about what are your ideas for this role, what are the things that you have done in your past, in your past work experiences, and many other things that they get to know. When you can talk properly, when you can get your ideas across clearly and in a concise way, so that is something that also is very helpful in a job interview. Third is in a collaboration. As team members, as employees in an office, there'll often be chances of collaborating. And it is in those times then when people check your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, how well you deal with team members, how well you deal with your bosses, how well you deal with people just regularly around you, day to day basis. All of these things take a lot of good communication skills. फोर्थ इज लीडरशिप डेवलपमेंट. जैसे हमने बात किया था एम्पैथी का इन टीम वर्क एंड कोलैबोरेशन, इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू नो योर सेल्फ एंड योर इमोशंस टू ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड हाउ अनदर पर्सन इज फीलिंग. ओनली व्हेन यू अंडरस्टैंड सच थिंग्स यू आर शाइनिंग एज अ लीडर, राइट? एक लीडर एक ऐसा आदमी होता है जो सिर्फ अपने बारे में नहीं बट बाकी सबके बारे में सोचता है. So for leadership development, it is very important that a person is in touch with their emotional quotient, with how they talk, with how they convey their ideas, with how well they collaborate with each other, and many more things. Last is continuous professional development. In life, as you progress, you go from one job to another or one field to another. However you progress in life, your continuous professional development relies on how well you conduct yourself. And communication is a huge part of how well you conduct yourself. Only when you can get your points across in a very clear manner, only when you can deal with different kinds of people in the same way, in a regulated manner, with the emotions in place, and only when you can identify people and understand them, can you have a very prosperous professional development. So that is why it is very important for us to understand how well you can utilize these skills and leverage these skills to use in your career. So let us go through these elements one by one again. First is employability skills. The moment that you are a person who speaks well, who communicates well, and who seems to understand one another perfectly, your employability rate goes up much higher. People want to have you in their team, people want to involve you in projects, and that is why it's an important skill. Second is job interviews. Your confidence comes from how well you communicate and how well you deal with people, which is what is checked in a job interview, which is what they judge you in a job interview. So again, that is another place where they see how well your interpersonal skills are functioning, how well you are emotionally rich, and how much you can give to another person. Third is collaboration in the workplace, like we mentioned, and as well as you do in school and in offices. Collaboration, projects, and teamwork is something that happens on a day-to-day basis, for which you need great communication skills. Fourth is leadership development. A leader is a person who does not just account for himself, but for other people in his team as well. So for that, you really require great interpersonal skills like empathy, like emotional quotient, like conflict resolution, and to speak well and to convey your opinions and ideas properly. So it is very important for you to brush up on these skills and build these skills to have, build on your leadership development as well. And lastly, it's about constant professional development. Continuous, lifelong professional development only comes through when you build yourself as a person with these skills that we just mentioned, right? Okay. So now let us talk about, we have talked about in elaborate length, talked about what are these skills, what are the elements of these skills, and how well they affect us in our lives, right? So now let's understand what are the strategies to adopt फॉर इम्प्रूविंग इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स. हमने ये बात जरूर कर ली कि ये होता क्या है, इसके डिफरेंसेस क्या होती है, ये हमारे लाइफ में कितना इफेक्ट करता है, बट अभी हम एक स्ट्रैटेजी भी सीख ले कि जिससे हम इसे अडॉप्ट कर सके अपने रियल लाइफ में. सो वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट थिंग्स इज माइंडफुल स्पीकिंग. और इसे याद रखने के लिए एक बहुत ही आसान तरीका है जिसे हम एक एक्रोनिम के साथ समझेंगे, विच इज स्टेम. STEM, STEM. So first S is for stay present. When you are speaking to somebody, you need to be present, right? You need to stay in the conversation, stay in the context of what the conversation is about, and be present in somebody. You cannot look lost. You cannot look like you are going off in another thought process, or cut them off in between, or give your idea in between when they are speaking. These are all things that you should avoid, and be present. Now, the T stands for thoughtful delivery. When you're talking, you need to have a steady flow of thoughts. You need to know what you are speaking about, and you need to convey that in a way that the other person understands your point immediately and does not require a lot of repetitions. For that, it is very important for you to know how to deliver your points in a clear and concise manner. ऐसा बहुत बार होता है लाइफ में कि अगर हम एक चीज समझाना चाहते हैं तो उसे हम बहुत छोटे और सिंपल वे में समझा सकते हैं, बट ऑफन वी टेक अ वे वेयर वी ट्राई टू एलैबोरेट इट एंड मेक इट मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. उसकी हमें बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं होती. तो थॉटफुल डिलीवरी इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ माइंडफुल स्पीकिंग, कि हम जाने हम क्या बोल रहे हैं और उसे करेक्टली वही एक्सप्रेस करें. नाउ द E in the STEM stands for expand your vocabulary. जैसे हम बड़े होते हैं, हमारी वोकैबुलरीज भी एक्सपैंड होती है. हर साल हम बुक्स पढ़ते हैं, हम न्यूज़पेपर्स पढ़ते हैं, हम एक दूसरे से बात करते हैं, हम स्कूल जाते हैं, हम समझते हैं कि एक भाषा में काफी वर्ड्स होते हैं और उसे हम एक्सपैंड करते हैं. सो ओनली व्हेन यू हैव a good vocabulary which utilizes words that convey your emotion in the right way can that person understand you well and understand you in the right sense. So it is very important to expand your vocabulary. Now, fourth is to manage your emotions. When you are speaking, it is very important to regulate your emotions. If you're talking about something that is very dicey, very important, it is important to understand that you are not getting on the extreme side of your emotions. हम बिल्कुल regulated और balanced way में बात करने की बहुत जरूरत होती है, and that is what the M stands for, to manage your emotions. Now, just to go through it again, the S in this acronym stands for staying present in the conversation, right? When you are speaking to somebody, you need to stay present, you need to stay occupied. Now, the T stands for thoughtful delivery. हम क्या उनसे बोल रहे हैं, क्या कन्वे करना चाहते हैं, उसे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंटली हम सोच के समझ के उसे एक्सप्रेस करें. The E stands for expanding your vocabulary. It is very important for you to have a very clear, concise vocabulary which helps people understand what you are trying to say in a less complicated manner, in a simplified manner. Now, M stands for managing your emotions. If you are talking about a subject that requires you to feel a certain way, it is important for you to regulate your emotions and speak accordingly. Now, let's navigate the website. Okay. So as everybody can see, this is the Gurushala website. This is our platform where all of you are requested to go and explore and understand how it works. I will be showing you a short tutorial on certain elements of the platform so that you all can go and have an elaborate search. This is our platform. It is gurushala.co. And we'll be checking the course module of the topic that we just discussed, which is interpersonal skills and communication, right? So here, if you scroll down, you can see many elements. Gurushala offers you online assessment, course modules, content library, Gurushala Academy, quiz for students, online training, staff room, and a personal analysis and reflection of attitude by teachers test. And if you go further down, you can see thoughts and opinions by many people who have used the website and have left us their feedback. So to begin with, let's go into the course modules section right here. Right? So when we go to the course modules section here, we can see that you can enroll into these modules to learn more about skills, strategies, and concepts for 21st century learners. Now this platform is built both for teachers and students. As you can see here, they have educators modules as well, which is for teachers, and we have student modules as well for students. It is important for us to understand here that interpersonal and communication skills is a module built for students, but it is very vital for teachers to understand it and then take it forward to their students. So we are requesting you to go through the module once, go through it, see how it is built, see what are the important elements of it, take it back to your classrooms and share it with students for whom it was made, and let them use that in their daily lives, right? Okay, so now we'll explore the student module right here. When we click on view all, we are shown here a ton of videos and modules that you can go through that are on different subjects, on science and English and mathematics and many more, right? So to ease your searching, there is a search bar right here, and there is a filter option on the left where you can see the student learning plans and the student courses. You can also alter the duration of these courses and then filter out even more. You can choose either a less than 1 hour version, a 1 hour to 2 hour, more than 2 hour, and then select. And there are also topics for you to select from. So now, since we have a select topic in mind, I'm just going to search that. Interpersonal skills, right? So when I typed interpersonal, I came out with the exact module that I was looking for, which is Introduction to Interpersonal and Communication Skills. So as you can see, I've already finished this module, so it shows me a view certificate option. But here you would have an enroll button where you can go, click enroll and start the module. As soon as you click enroll, you will also be awarded with 10 points. I will discuss what the points stand for and how you can utilize these points as well. So here you have a short, version of what the details are, what is it about, what you will learn, what are the skills covered, etc. Here I'm going to click expand all and understand how it works, right? So I'm just going to, for example, just click on this infographic, right? This shows us a small graphic of the entire module. Here is one of the acronyms that I just showed right now in the presentation on STEM, which is to stay present, thoughtful delivery, expand your vocabulary, and manage your emotions. That is just one of the easier ways that we have built this module for the understanding of students and the teachers. And if you go further, you could see even more, like how to do active listening and get clarity in understanding, giving feedback, receiving feedback, etc. This is something that you can go through the website and understand for yourself. And as you can see, there are videos, there are questionnaires, there are small tests, there are practice assignments and more for you to understand, right? Okay, now we go back to the platform. Since we talked about, since we talked about empathy and emotional quotient, there is a singular part of our website that deals with the same. It is called the Personal Analysis and Reflection of Attitude by Teachers. It's a Parat test, right? So this is for you to understand your educator traits that impact the everyday decisions in classroom. Empathy and emotional quotient is a big factor of how a teacher functions in a classroom, right? How you understand your students, how well you understand the situation they're in, how well they're feeling, and then take decisions. So here, if you see, you can see that if you take this test, it's a small test, which is a multiple choice question based test. You could just select the options as you feel is suited for you exactly. and then submit the test for you to understand what kind of a educator you are, right? So it will tell you the traits that you have, if it's a parental trait, if it's an enthusiastic trait, if it's a creative trait, and subject expert trait, etc. So once you get to know what trait you have on a majority basis and which one you have lesser, it is for you to have a chance to work on those traits and to learn more, to improve more, and to become a better educator than you already are, right? That is the aim of an objective of this test. Yes? So now we go back to the platform. Here you can see the Gurushala rewards section. So teachers, like I mentioned, once you enroll into the courses on the platform, you'll be receiving 10 points. So everything on the platform is on a points basis. As fast as you cover, modules and courses and content on the website for your benefit, you will be gaining certain amount of points, which thereby you can utilize on this website to gain teaching learning materials for yourself. So here you can see I have 270 redeemable points, right? So as much as you do your courses and your modules, you'll be gaining more of these points, and then you can go ahead and purchase one of these TLMs for yourself, which is a teaching learning material. And as you can see, there's a wide variety of things that you can be interested in. It can be about a human heart, a skeleton, a microscope, lots of materials that can be utilized in classroom for professional and personal development. So do take a look at it and start doing these modules and courses, right? Yes. Now going further, we can go into the communities and clubs. So as soon as you finish these modules and these courses and you have an opinion to share, or you have some thoughts, you have an opinion piece to share, or some sort of a discussion that you want to start, there are lots of communities created here and can be created even more if you select view all on educator communities or student clubs, and go share your thoughts and opinions to other teachers, because we all know that it's not just one or two members here, we're all connected nationwide. There are many teachers just like you sitting across the screen who might be feeling the same kind of thoughts and opinions, who want to have a discussion with you, and also allows you to connect with teachers not just in your state and district but also otherwise, right? Which helps you create a great environment for yourself to learn more, to be more curious and to understand, and see what's more, to explore more. So that's a great pathway for you. Now going back to our session. Right. Now that we have navigated our platform, let's come to the task of the day, because as teachers, we all give a lot of tasks to our students. There's a small task for all of you as well. So kindly go to our platform, the Gurushala platform, and complete the module on interpersonal and communication skills from it, and share your experiences on the community with us. Like the same place that I showed you where the community is, you can log on and you can share your ideas, your thoughts, or what can be added to the module, anything that you wish for. It is your platform, it is built for you, and it is for you to express your thoughts and opinions to us. Yes. Okay. So now coming to the certificate of participation, everybody must be wondering about this. So teachers, you will be receiving a certificate for attending this session. So at the end of the session, you will be receiving a Google form, which will be shared for recording the attendance, and all the participants who submit this form will receive a certificate of participation via email 24 hours later. Yes. So for this, there is a small thing to be noted, which is under the session that you are just viewing right now, there will be an attendance form button that I'm just circling and arrowing right here. So you're requested to kindly click that, fill in your details, and then you'll be receiving a certificate 24 hours later. Yes. Now, It is important for you all to understand that you can log in to gurushala.co for any assistance, be it on the course modules or any queries that you have. The email ID is written right there. Kindly log into that and express your thoughts, opinions, your questions, anything that you may have for us. And we'll be getting back to you as soon as we can. Thank you, teachers. I hope this session was incredibly useful for everybody here, and I hope that we have understood the difference between what are interpersonal skills, what are communication skills, and how well we can understand them and utilize them in our daily lives for the students and help them become the pioneers of the future tomorrow. So thank you to everybody. आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद for joining, and we will see you all for the next session. Thank you.